Gridman! If you were to hear this guy for the first time, that would most likely be in relation to the 2018 anime series SSSS Gridman. You know, that one really cool show that is most well known for a 14-year-old's thighs. Yup. It's a Gridman video. This series came out of nowhere and dropped a banger anime, and it revitalized interest in a strange 90s show. It's not entirely that simple, but it's how most of us came to know of our cybernetic, robotic, Cyberman, grid hero man guy. Let's talk about Gridman! We're talking about Gridman. To be more specific, here's a Furbus-approved script of what Gridman is, how to get into it, and extra cool things to read and watch and listen to, okay? Okay. Oh wait, really quickly before I forget, there are slight spoilers for Gridman, just like all of it, the whole thing, across the board. Also, swear warning, flashing lights warning, warning anime warning, warning anime. It's anime, the warning is anime here. It's right there.
Gridman, the hyper agent.
This is where it all began. The start of the start of the start. This show follows Naoto, Yuka, and Ippei, three little nerds who build a computer out of junk called junk. They game, do academics, and they watch History of Ultraman on junk. So it's a good little computer. However, one day, a digital dude appears and begins to live inside junk. The new tenant's name is Gridman. Griddy's a hyper agent, a super cool computer cop guy who hunts down and kills evil computer programs. These programs are sentient. That's right, code can speak and create monsters? Yeah, okay, so the action in Gridman takes place in Computer World, a land of circuits and neon-lined cardboard boxes. Grid is a computer program after all, so everything he fights or restores is inside computers. Gridman merges with Naoto because he has a good heart. Where did the kaiju come from? An evil little guy named Kon Digifer. Well, actually, the kaiju designed by the little shit kid, Takeshi Todo. Takeshi is a loner bully kid who has severe anger issues and is groomed into venting it through designing kaiju. What do these thingies do? Destroy the computer world! Throughout the series, new viruses pop up, and it's up to Gridman, Naoto, Yuka, and Ippei to beat them up and restore the cyber world. Since the computer world is tied to both the hyper world and the real world, any damage caused here causes damage there. So, Gridman has two movesets, one to fight the kaiju and one to fix the world. It's always nice to see these shows explore the idea of the damage caused by battles, and it makes for interesting discussions, which we will not have because this is not an in-depth analysis of the show. You want to come over to my house? You want to watch Gridman, you and me? While not being a perfect show, it has all the charms of a 90s-era Tsuburaya series. While episodic at times, the use of running narratives and the reintroduction of characters makes watching through all 39 episodes kind of fun. The show is technically impressive, with some of the, and I'll be honest here, dated-looking effects, which were brand spanking new at the time for TV. Gridman also has a banger soundtrack, with its opening, Yume no Hero, being an earworm. And that's Gridman the Hyper Agent. It laid the groundwork for future Grid series, but it went dormant after its run. It did get some novels that continued the story, such as the Demon King's Counterattack. That was pretty cool. That introduced new Hyper Agents, and we even got a new Gridman form. It did stay silent for a bit, and then, you know, kind of faded into obscurity. Wow! We didn't get shit for Gridman. Nothing. It was just completely dormant from 93 to 2014. Not a goddamn thing. Not a single fucking thing. Nothing like we got Masked Rider or Power Rangers. No. We totally didn't get an American remake. No. Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad! This piece of shit fucking show ran from 94 to 95 and had 53 episodes. 53! Take that number and compare it to how many Gridman had. 39! They made more Superhuman Samurai than they did of Gridman. So, the show isn't the worst thing ever. If you liked Power Rangers, all its silly, goofy high school stuff, then you may like this. We follow a group of 4 friends in a band called Team Samurai who, like video games and music God, put me out of my fucking misery. So, like, Gridman the Hyper Agent, Mr. Gridman, appears in their computer and forces our protagonist, Sam Collins, to go pew, 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 pew. Actually, that's not entirely true. Gridman is not Gridman, but now this character's called Servo. Yeah. Servo the cybernetic samurai. Together, Sam and Servo, along with Team Samurai, battle the evil AI program Kilo Khan and his human aide, Malcolm Frink. Who the fuck names her kid Malcolm Frink? Jesus. Kilo Khan is played by Tim Curry. Yeah, that Tim Curry. The rest of the show is actually pretty similar to Gridman, which is something I wanted to give it some credit for. While it does dumb down the plots and adds new drama storylines and also shoehorns in jokes for tiny little babies, it's strangely similar to Gridman in some ways. While it deviates greatly in some episodes, just using Gridman fights as independent footage, there are some episodes that are loose adaptations, which is, it's something. Superhuman. You know, I'm not fucking saying the whole thing again, Furbus. Fuck you. This show renames all of the kaiju and the assist weapons and the robos. Now God Xenon is just Xenon, and Dyna Dragon is now Drago. Say what you will, but I think Drago is a really adorable name for the little robot wagon. The only name changes that really bother me are Gridman. I mean, Servo's forms. Servo and Xenon together become Synchro, which is... it's alright, I guess. But when Servo and Drago merge, they become Formo? Ugh, what the fuck is Formo? Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad is not as well remembered as Power Rangers or as infamous as Masked Rider, and to this day, there are a few that can say they watched all of it and enjoyed it more than Gridman. But if you are one of those people, get help. No, I'm kidding, you're amazing. Cyber Squad has a lingering legacy within Gridman works. While not being directly connected to the Gridman universe, it still plays a part in the later anime. One of the assist weapon Neon Genesis High School... that one's really weird to me, hold on. One of the assist weapon Neon Genesis High School... One of the assist weapon Neon Genesis High School students, Boar, gets the... Fuck! Who the fuck thought this was a good idea? I come to the Neon Genesis High School. Duh. All right. One of the assist weapon Neon Genesis High School students, Boar, even gets their name from the renamed Twin Drill assist weapon. So, do I recommend this show to anyone who likes Gridman in the anime? I'm apprehensive. On one hand, it's fun to watch it with friends and joke around. The fights and stories they adapt for Gridman are well done, and there is an independent and ongoing story with drama. However, it falls into the trap of being targeted for a younger audience, so many may be turned off by the style of writing and jokes presented within the show. Maybe one day, we'll make a long history of so you can claim you watched the show. But for now, I say give it a shot if you're curious, but if you're a die-hard Gridman Universe fan, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Boy, I thought I had problems.
Gridman, boys of great hero, is the first grid thing that we got in a long time. It's a 5-minute short film directed by Akira Amemiya that sees an aged Takeshi Todo recollect all the events of Gridman. Most of the short is dedicated to reanimating many of the battles within Gridman. It finishes with Todo transforming into Gridman Sigma to fight Kaiju. Todo's actor, Tsutoshi Sugawara, returned for the short, saying the super complex line of
Access Flash!
This is pretty short and doesn't tell a complex story. It really is just a production by a fan, for fans. It establishes the style that the later anime projects will take, and gave our first glimpses of a moving Sigma. Oh, Sigma! Sigma is Gridman's younger brother, and another hyper agent. He fought alongside Griddy in Gridman, the Demon King's counterattack. He was supposed to appear in the later half of Gridman. Yeah, quite a bit was cut from the original show, with Todo having supposed to turn to the side of good. However, it never came to pass. Gridman is an interactive grid manipulation system. It operates on grids to produce new grids which conform to user demands. The input grids are not constrained to come from any particular source. They may be generated by the algebraic methods, elliptic methods, hyperbolic methods, parabolic methods, or some combination of methods. The methods are included in the various available structured grid generation codes. These codes perform the basic assembly function for the various elements of the initial grid. For block-structured grids, the assembly can be quite Wait, fuck! That's the Gridman, not Gridman! The Gridman is a NASA grid manipulation system published in 1992. This has absolutely nothing to do with Gridman! It's literally an outdated field manual for fucking grids! Let's just get started on the other anime. Airing for 12 episodes in 2018, here's Gridman! He's Gridman now! This is the hell we live in. All tokusatsu sequels will become anime! Anyways. This show follows Yuta Hibiki, a high schooler who one day passes out in front of a resale shop and wakes up with amnesia. Not knowing who he is, he finds a calling in being a hero. Literally. He is literally called out to by Gridman.
Gridman told me I had to remember what my calling is.
Your calling? Like what you're called?
No, something else, I think.
Junk currently lives in a store run by Yuta's classmate, Rika Takarada, who joins him and Sho Utsumi in the Gridman Alliance.
It looks like you weren't kidding about having memory loss.
I'm sorry.
Later on, they are accompanied by Samurai Caliber, Max, Bort, and Vit. Assist weapons for Gridman. Gritty can combine with them for new forms or just to, like, hold them. Sometimes I want to be held. On the Kaiju side, we have another villain virus and human helper in the form of Alexis Karib and Akane Shinjo. You get the gist of it. Akane makes Kaiju, Yud and Gritty battle them in the computer world. Wait, no, this ain't the computer world. While there is some subject matter that may be disturbing for individuals such as death, depression, and an entire fan service-centered episode, each of these things is utilized in a manner that is respectful and progresses the plot in creative and interesting ways. Tsuburaya and Trigger really utilize that swimming episode, but it's a really good show, so you should watch it. It isn't just action. It has lots of characters, development, and interesting questions surrounding the Gridman universe and series, as well as neat callbacks and references to the OG show.
You know what's weird? Red King's not even red.
One of his variations was empowered.
Seriously?
This is centered around the pilots of Dynazenon, or Dynadragon. They can combine into both. We primarily see the perspectives of Yomugi Asanaka, a high school student, and his growing bonds with his fellow Dyna pilots. Yomugi controls Dyna Soldier, the core of Dynazenon. In control of Dynawing is Yume Minami, a closed-off girl who Yomugi has feelings for. Koyomi Tamanaka, a 33-year-old stay-at-home shut-in, controls Dyna Striker. I fucking love Hot Wheels! Dyna Diver, the sub, is piloted by Gauma, the ex-kaiju controller. Tagging along is the junior high dropout Chise Asukagawa. Now, she doesn't pilot a part of Dynazenon officially, but joins the gang regardless. Together, the team battles the kaiju eugenicists to protect humanity while overcoming their own personal struggles. Dynazenon shares a style, structure, and tone with SSSS Gridman, while not explicitly showing off Gridman himself, which is a first for the Grid series. While it is an independent story, the show is a loose sequel to SSSS Gridman, with callbacks and returning characters. It's important to note that the anime also takes liberties in changing up events within the original episode of the show that the anime is kind of based on. Yeah, this whole ancient battle with kaiju thing is from Hyper Agent. Kind of.
Dynazenon. I wonder why that person trusted you with me.
On the subject, Dynazenon and Dynadragon are both inspired by, well, Dynadragon from the OG show. I'm doing like a You Hate DX video, like, what? Wait. You're welcome.
Yeah, okay, so I told Don to record him transforming and playing with the toy, and I'm gonna save you 10 minutes and cut that out. You're welcome.
Yeah, he's starting to handle that thing pretty well, don't you agree?
Dynazenon tackles some serious stories and ideas like its predecessor, so if you are sensitive to topics such as death and depression, please take appropriate precautions before watching. Dynazenon is able to make itself serious when it needs to be and provide breathing room and relief when the audience needs it. I highly recommend Dynazenon. However, it is best experienced after having watched SSSS Gridman. Okay. Oh my god. The printer's starting. I wonder if it'll deliver good news.
The world will collapse in 2028.
Wow, thanks, Ender 3! All right, now that we've gone through all the shows, I want to briefly go through the many spin-offs that you can check out after watching some of this stuff. Keep in mind, most of this was released as a tie-in / spin-off of the Gridman universe shows, and not the original or Samurai Squad. Diaclone vs. Gridman. Released online in 2021, Diaclone vs. Gridman sees little Griddy launched into the Diaclone world. The Diaclone team and Gridman fight, become friends, and then Gridman gains a new host in Hiraki Kaizaki. This was a little web story made for Takara Tomi's website for the relaunch of the Diaclone toy line in Japan. That's where they got the Transformers from. In the Gridman timeline, it takes place after the OG show and novel, and before Quad S Gridman. Gridman's primal form, the purple one, seen at the start of the anime, is created through the bonding of a new host. It's pretty rad. Give it a read if you like Diaclone, or are curious about the short story. It's only 4 parts and it's pretty quick, so there's no fucking excuses. I'm gonna... SSS Gridman. This is the aforementioned manga adaptation of Trigger's anime. So the events within are pretty much the same. If you like the anime, you're gonna like the manga. You're probably gonna like the manga, honestly. Neon Genesis Junior High School students Butler Cafe. Rika wakes up one day to find her family store is now a Butler Cafe run by the Neon Genesis guys. Sengoku Gridman. This is Gridman, but in the Warring States period of Japanese history. Gridman fights people, but isn't Grid, just raw, fucking old man armor. I don't have anything to say about this really. It's just here in case you want to buy it on Comic Walker and read it in Japanese for yourself. Gridman Dogma. Woof. This follows Vice, an assist weapon who was left behind by the main 4 assist weapon students. Vice has an unhealthy desire to be helpful and save people through his own ego. One day, he meets a young girl with the power to become his Gridman, and together they become the desolate combined superhuman torturing Gridman. The series is being fan translated by Trafalgar Log. It's pretty cool. Give it a shot if you like the art you see on screen at this current moment in time. Hime and Samurai. Hime and Samurai is yet another manga spin-off. This manga acts somewhat as a prequel to Quad S Gridman, featuring characters from the anime, but it's weird timeline-wise. Some of the returning characters have a pretty big role in the manga. For example, a focus is put on Samurai Caliber. We follow the story primarily through a new character, the energetic hero wannabe Hime Kuzuki. Hime was saved by Caliber after a truck almost Final Destination 2'd her. That's the... We're going with that? Oh, okay. Oh yeah, a shooting star hit her. Well, actually her phone. That's gonna be important in a sec. Seeing the potential in the girl, Caliber gives Hime his 5th sword, and through using her smartphone, Hime transforms. See, I told you, start hitting the phone would be important. Now, she isn't the host of a Hyper Agent and isn't really a grid person, but instead has Hyper Agent inspired armor through the form of a badass robot suit called the Samurai Barrier Gear. So that's why it has Samurai in the title. Ah! This manga has no official English publication. However, the fan group Trafalgar scanulated it. Gridman Anthology. So a bunch of cool comic people came together to make this comic anthology. This book contains a few independent stories that tell some interesting tales. I like this Kaiju Girl one. It sees Akane inspired by Kaiju Girl Zedon, creating a Kanagon. It's cute. There's this one, Gacha Gacha, about Rika buying Gachapon figures. Aww, wanna see Yuta dressed up as a girl? Well, here's Someday I'll See This Dream. All of these and more are present within SSSS Gridman's first official anthology comic. Outside of comics, there are also audio dramas that were released weekly online after each episode of the anime. There are also character song albums and even new exclusive Gridman Toku shorts. After the success of the anime version of Gridman and Auntie got suits. They're neat. Hey everybody, because this video didn't have enough fucking information in it, did you know that Gridman is an alarm clock? Oh look, it's Akane.
Hi, あなたの可愛い彼女新庄茜です。
With a pipe bomb! Here's a quick spoiler alert for Dynazenon and Gridman, as this uses characters that could be considered spoilery, but are plastered everywhere and sold as toys, so yeah, skip the next 40 seconds if you want to go into Gridman totally 100% blind. For the Dynazenon Blu-ray releases, Super Rad created a new short. This is called Grid Knight Fight, a new entry in the low-budget and quick fight series that Super Rad has been doing since the 70s. In this, Grid Knight and Dynazenon train and spar, having to battle baddies from the shows. Alright, spoilers are, you can come back now. Gridman, Yuta, and the rest of the cast of SSSS made an appearance as DLC for Super Robot Wars 30. So now, Gridman is directly connected to Ultraman, Space Battleship Yamato, Gundam, Sakura Wars, and even Getter Robo. This is comedy. That isn't the only gaming collaboration Griddy's had, as both Dynazenon and Gridman have had a crossover with the Shipgirl collecting game Azure Lane back in November 2021! What the fuck is Azure Lane? Strange thing is that it was only really just the girls from each show, so if you ever wanted to own Rika's friends, you can't get them anymore. Sorry. Want to watch a Gridman stage play? Yeah, me too. It's too fucking bad that COVID made the production go bye-bye. It makes me kind of sad. Please give me money. And that's pretty much every notable Grid thing I can think of outside of one looming thing. On March 24th, 2023, nationwide within Japan, Gridman Universe will be released. Before this, however, 2 theatrical compilation films of Gridman and Dynazenon have been released within Japan, reintroducing audiences to the characters and important events and ideas of each series within Japan. Gridman Universe, released last, is said to be set after the events of Dynazenon, being the farthest point within the aptly named Gridman Universe. This was originally titled Gridman x Dynazenon when announced in 2021, and will feature, you guessed it, a team-up between Griddy and Dino Fella. So yeah, Gridman got a pretty big revival in recent years. That actually led to many to look for the original source. I know lots of anime-only fans may be disappointed with Gridman the Hyper Agent and Samurai Saber Squad, but that's alright. It's alright to like things, and it's alright to not like things. You're allowed to form and express your own opinions on media, as it speaks to, like, everybody differently. Like, I love Ultraman 66, but that doesn't mean everyone will. If you don't like OG Gridman, but you like the anime, that's okay too. If you love Samurai Squad somehow, but not Dynazenon, you know what? That's perfectly understandable. While, I played up to this thing like, fuck Samurai, Cyber Squad, don't base all of your assumptions on it. Just watch this shit if you want to. Make up your own thoughts. Be passionate about it. Just make sure you don't express it in a way that'll put others down. I'm Dawnbreaker, and I have 6 months left to live. All right.
Video has reached completion. See you next time.